every time we start talking about, like the past several times we've talked about the current state of politics and the election, we kind of veer off and then don't come back.
I agree. You lead the discussion.
No, so I'm just, I want to,
You're the only person I know that has a floating plant.
I have a floating plant right in front of me. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
my
there's a couple of them. Yeah, it's just hovering there. We didn't.
Well, I have a camera down on it.
Well, we don't. We will eventually.
I am more hopeful than ever about the future of this country.
With the floating plant?
Because I think, as someone who is an anarchist, I think the mechanisms for people to have conversations about what needs to be done are completely dissolving at an exponential rate.
I agree with that statement because all these liberals I know are voting for Trump. Now that Trump's perfect, they're getting out of their paradigm. And conservatives are waking up. And so people are getting out of their boxes.
Yes.
And there's a big breaking up of the controlled fences that were keeping us basically on the plantation. So I think there's a huge political awakening happening, not just here, but worldwide.
And Joe Biden did a better job beating Bernie's voters than he did beating Trump's voters. And that's something that a lot of people on the left are going to have a very rude awakening about.
I'm really impressed by this, that Joe Biden was able to convince the Occupy Wall Street crowd to vote completely the opposite of everything they fought for.
You explained this well. He's total corporatist,
total
war. Explain that.
In Occupy Wall Street, September 17th, 2011, people flocked to Zuccotti Park in New York City saying, we are the 99%.
Yeah.
Obama was president. Joe Biden was vice president. The cabinet was stuffed with banking interests. Goldman Sachs speeches were the standard fare for some of these people. And they were very much international interests selling us out to major international corporations, notably the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which Trump crushed as soon as he got in. All of these people are there on the ground in New York City saying Wall Street bad, 1% bad. The Obama administration, they were in power for 3 years. I should say they were in office for 3 years when this kicked off. The next year we got Black Lives Matter. These people had been complaining about people like Joe Biden for the policies he's created that were racist, or for the policies that they led that helped create all of these problems.
Specifically within the Democratic Party.
Yes.
They're like, we don't expect that better from the Republicans.
And listen. During Occupy Wall Street, I often heard this. What has Occupy even done? They got the DNC to move its money to a union-owned bank, Amalgamated. So they did target the Democratic Party on purpose. Next up, 2016. There were some protests at the RNC. A couple people showed up, mostly boring. You were there. I remember you yelled at Cenk Uygur.
That was hilarious. That photo of you standing like this?
At the DNC, however, thousands of people protested the Democrats, shaking barricades, trying to jump over. These people were screaming at the Democrats for what they had done, and they didn't care about Trump. They didn't care about the Republicans. Now, most of these people, not all of them, because some of them flipped and voted Trump, are now cheering for the very man they protested for 10 years.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because we're all old enough to remember 5 years ago, Black Lives Matter was presented as a joke by the corporate media. And they're like, look at these silly people. They're ruining things for us. They show up at restaurants, ruining people's lunches and brunches. This is ridiculous. And now I tweeted this out. I think you retweeted it. I said, we're 5 minutes away from these riots, 24 hours, these riots getting corporate support.
Yep.
And within minutes, all the corporations like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos does not. He cares about black people as much as he cares about white people as a resource to exploit. And now it's become normalized, even though it's lost any kind of real semblance of.
Well, I mean, that's
how did we get? When I'm talking to my friends,
it's the globalists,
and they're like, "We're progressives," and I said, "Why did you vote for Joe Biden?" Because Trump's a fascist, and I said, Joe Biden, and along with Obama, brought us into more Middle Eastern war. They destabilized Libya, bringing back the North African slave trade. They destabilized Syria, creating the refugee crisis. I've covered these things. Donald Trump.
And those aren't in dispute, by the way, what
right.
you're saying.
That's a fact.
Not in dispute.
Yeah. And Donald Trump, bad first couple of years. John Bolton was a big mistake. That's obvious. Drone strikes were going up. But in the past year, they've been going down. And we've seen Middle Eastern peace agreements.
Sure, so you're talking about reality versus the propaganda.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed with Joe Biden that he was able to convince. So after the DNC cheated,
it wasn't Joe. It was the corporate press.
You know what I mean?
No, but I think it's important to make that distinction.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders was
Good
cheated.
looking at though.
Bernie Sanders.
I feel like a hunk.
Bernie Sanders was cheated by the DNC.
Yes.
They all got phone calls. Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg. Tomorrow, you're resigning, and you're throwing your support behind someone who has less votes than you.
By the way, what killed the young turds? Was it Uygur saying he wants to have sex with animals?
No, wait. I know what you're talking about.
No, was him saying he loves pleasure animals.
What?
Pleasuring animals is good, he said. Was it?
I think that's out of context.
He said
he said something about it was an argument
if
about
he was
morality.
a dictator, he legalized pleasuring animals.
I think.
And they got very excited.
All right.
The point is, I'm asking, was it the pleasuring of animals statement, or was it him being for Bernie and then turning around the next time and then saying he's for Hillary?
It's an amazing bit. When people,
Listen, I'm having some fun here. I'm asking about that guy. You brought him up.
because people,
I'm asking, I'll do the Hulk Hogan thing here. I'm here to tell you right now, Tim Pool, or now I'm the Macho Man. I want to ask why.
low-hanging fruit.
No, it is low. It's
Low-hanging
fun.
fruit, out of context.
It's fun.
And it's not an argument that has anything
I
to do
admit
with
it.
the betterment of
All right,
what's
let's
happening.
get back to pedophile vampires.
No, we're talking about how Joe Biden and the corporate press convinced the activists who oppose war and the big banks to vote exactly for it. It's impressive.
No, I agree. You're right. I'm wrong. Why is the left claiming they're woke when all the big banks, all the money, everything is against Trump? Biden's pro-war. All of it's a giant fraud because they just want to feel trendy. They just want to hate Trump. And in a way, Trump is a triumph of the media that they could get people to turn for war and against prosperity all because they don't like the orange man. It's almost like Trump's in on it. I don't think he is.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, we bring it up from time to time. When I was covering the original Trump rallies, like the first, not the original, but like the first campaign in 2015 and 16, there were people, this is a specific event, I was outside of Fort Lauderdale Trump
He did
rally.
say pleasure animals.
And there were people holding up signs saying Trump and Clinton are friends, they're in on it, it's all part of the game. And so there were people who believe that Trump is supposed to play the villain so that they can get Americans to accept war.
Like
and
it's a
banks
WWE deal.
Yeah. So Trump is the
But here's the deal. I know
purposefully
how Trump's
boastful
been
and-
persecuted. I have. Trump's fighting for real, though. But maybe
I
at a
think- I
sick
definitely
level,
agree.
he doesn't know he's being played. Maybe that's what it is.
That's not impossible.
I love
God, that is an incredible hat. Where'd you get that?
Some crazy person on the internet gave it to me.
I'm loving how there's some tweets popping up where they're saying the media. There's many people in the media who keep saying Trump will not be president. It's over, and ignoring the actions he's taking to not leave. He's saying he instructed the federal
What a
agent.
Fox, Kayleigh McEnany would start talking about this. In
Oh,
Fox.
let's say this. In 4 years of Trump, this is the most boss stuff. Not giving him the transition money.
No.
Saying we're staying.
No.
Go ahead,
The most boss stuff was when he turned the bus around when they were going to go
Oh,
overseas.
yeah.
That was the best.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh,
Pelosi and all the
Trapped in the bus going in
yeah,
circles.
and they're like, okay, no, we're pulling at the plane fare. You guys got to go back.
That was amazing.
That was the most boss moment.
True.